Welcome to Performance Conversations Made Simple. I'm Leslie Spees with Influence HR Consulting. This presentation accompanies the document, which provides a step-by-step guide for implementing performance conversations. I don't know if you've noticed, but most performance reviews suck. I've worked for multiple organizations over the years, and I will say that the large majority have had performance reviews that suck. Some of the reasons why: everybody dreads them, including employees, including leaders. They're not frequent enough. Typically, with the traditional model, they're once a year, and I found that a lot of organizations are still using that model. They're time consuming, particularly for managers and HR professionals. Ratings tend to be more about the rater than the person being evaluated. They're focused on the past and not the future. And over 75% of employees and managers feel that the results are ineffective and or inaccurate. So if this process is ineffective, why do we keep reinventing the same old wheel? There is a better way, and I'm going to show you what that is. So it's performance conversations. I share what they are and why they matter. And this is divided into sections to go along with your toolkit. And so employees want feedback. They want it timely, meaningful, and focused on growth. They don't want to feel like they are being evaluated or judged. Performance conversations are a more modern, practical alternative that emphasizes communication over compliance and development over documentation. They're collaborative, forward focused discussions that help employees and managers connect regularly about things like goals, progress, challenges, and growth. They can lead to higher engagement because employees feel seen, valued, and supported. Improved performance because there's regular dialogue that drives accountability and results. Better retention. People stay when they know where they stand and how they can grow. And finally, a stronger culture. Conversations about performance also reinforce the core values which drive your culture and the behaviors that support those core values. The best part is that you don't need a complicated system. You really don't need to spend a lot of money getting an automated process, although with some HRISs you can automate it. And of course, that's better if you can. You really just need a clear process, consistent cadence, and confident trained managers. So we're going to move on to section 2, which is building your process. And we're going to go through these 5 things. So the first thing you want to do is define your purpose. The purpose is what you want to achieve from this process. So I'll show you an example, which is our performance conversations are designed to strengthen communication, recognize achievements, and help every employee grow and contribute to our mission. Once you have articulated your purpose, the next thing that you want to do is get senior leader buy-in. So as with any change, you need to get senior leader buy-in in order for it to be successful. So the best way to get them on board is to share your purpose and what the desired result of the new process would be. And they probably know that most performance reviews suck too, but sharing some of the data would be helpful. All right, number 3, set your cadence. Consistency is key. I recommend quarterly conversations because they keep feedback fresh and make goals manageable. However, I know that for some organizations that can be challenging. If quarterly isn't realistic, I'm okay with twice a year. If you ensure that your managers are providing regular feedback between those more formal check-ins. Number 4, you want to develop the format. So we're going to spend a little bit of time here talking about the format. And you need to think about what works and what fits best with your organization. I prefer a format without ratings because, as I said before, ratings are really more about the rater than the person being rated. But if you have a more metrics driven culture, I'll show you a way to do that that cuts down on the biases that can come in. So here's some elements to consider: self-assessment, open-ended questions, key result areas, core values, and goals. Self-assessment. So what this would be is employees are going to self-assess by preparing answers to the open-ended questions that you include as part of this process. The manager then ideally would have that information before the conversation. They can review it and add their comments. And I've got a sample form that's available to you as part of this program, so you can see how that might kind of work in a format. All right, some recommended open-ended questions, and you can make these whatever work best for you. Describe your accomplishments during this period. What were your challenges or setbacks, and what did you learn from them? What is one thing that, if added or removed, would most improve your possibilities at our organization? What do you think is going well? What are your areas for growth and improvement? What would you like to learn? And how can I best support you as your manager? The next area is key result areas, or KRAs. These are the top 5 or so areas of responsibility or focus for each performance, for each position. So it's kind of a mini job description, if you will. So you'll see an example here for a customer service rep. And what you can do is you then take those KRAs to use in your form. So we've got the customer service rep position here. The general purpose is to provide excellent customer service by meeting service level agreements for email response, telephone response time, and customer service expectations. So if you want to build in some metrics, here's how I recommend that you do it: by defining each of the levels. And I like just 3 levels personally. So you've got exceeds expectations, often exceeds SLAs for email and phone response time. Customer feedback is frequently above average. Meets expectation, consistently meets SLAs for email and phone response time. Customer feedback consistently meets expectations. Then needs improvement. Email and call response time is often below expected SLA levels. Customer feedback ratings are below average. Core values are an element that I definitely recommend including. If you don't have core values in your organization, then that is something definitely to think about. These are 3 to 5 areas that guide your culture. They're the fundamental beliefs and guiding principles that shape the culture, behavior, and decision making in your organization. So we'll go through an example. This organization, one of their core values is accountability, taking ownership of action and results, honoring commitments, and taking responsibility for delivering on on promises. Having trouble talking today. Again, we have those 3 defined ratings, or you can just keep it open-ended on the core values and ask them, how do you feel you're doing in our core value areas? And maybe list them. What are you doing well? What are your opportunities? And then have a discussion during your meeting. Number 5, communicate the change. Let employees and managers know what's changing and why. The WIFM, what's in it for me? That's always what people want to know with changes. And most organizations don't do a great job of communicating that. So, what are the advantages of the new system for employees and managers? And what is expected before, during, and after? I suggest that you include goals. If you do it quarterly, you may want to think about 2 performance and 1 development. Make them SMART. Probably everybody's familiar with SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. We've got an example of a SMART goal. I will meet the SLA for answering emails 90% of the time through 4/1. A not so smart goal: I will improve in answering emails. You can see how you would be much more successful in achieving the SMART goal because you have some things that you're going to do to get there. Right, section 3, manager responsibilities and training. So as I go through this, it really is kind of going through the information that you would include in the training as well. You want to prepare for conversations. So I know that I've had conversations in the past where it was kind of a mess. So I got there, they weren't prepared for me. They're spending 10 minutes looking for my form. Before that, they had rescheduled the meeting 3 or 4 times, which doesn't make you feel important. So definitely be prepared, schedule it in advance. Don't reschedule if you can help it. Block some focused time. Choose a comfortable private setting and send pre-work, which would likely be the self-assessment. Managers want to keep in mind that this should be a two-way conversation. They should be listening more than they're talking. And I know that in most performance reviews that I've had or observed, it's really the manager talking at the employee for the large majority of the time, which is not what you want. In conducting the meeting, we're going to go through 5 C's. So the first is connect, and it's a great idea to begin with connection. So something like, before we dive in, how are you feeling about your work lately? Then you're going to celebrate. So start with what's going well to create some psychological safety for the other person. And that could be, let's start by looking at your accomplishments this period. What are you most proud of? Coach. So next, talk through what didn't go as planned. Keep the focus on learning and not on blame. Some examples of questions might be, what's been challenging for you lately? What have you learned from those experiences? How can I help you remove any barriers that are getting in your way? If you need to share constructive feedback, I teach the BEAN model for this purpose, and that is a whole nother class, but just to kind of give you an overview, the B is describe the behavior. You want to focus on the behavior, not the person. And you want to use I statements most of the time because that seems less accusatory to the other person and feels like you're taking some responsibility. So I noticed, or I observed, or I feel. Then you share the effect or potential effect of the behavior. The A is ask for their perspective and listen, because normally there's your perspective, there's their perspective, and reality might be somewhere in the middle. So there's probably things that you don't know. And then the N is next steps, and you work together to determine those. Cultivate, so reinforce the culture and set some goals. You might ask something like, how do you feel you are living out our value of accountability? Let's discuss 2 performance and 1 development goal that we could set. What are your thoughts? Now, I know in many organizations that the goals kind of are cascaded from senior leadership. And if that's the case, then there may be some things that need to be a little more prescriptive. But wherever you can have discussion about it and have it be more collaborative, they'll have more motivation and ownership. Commit, end on a positive and empowering note, set key accountabilities and document, and share how you'll stay connected. Sometimes these conversations may get tough. So first thing you want to do is stay calm. Don't match emotion with emotion. Take a few deep breaths, shoulders back and down. Just try to keep yourself in a calm state. Listen fully. Try to be a little curious. Acknowledge their feelings, something like, I can see that this is frustrating for you. Refocus on solutions. Let's refocus on what we could do differently moving forward. And follow up. So document any agreements that you come to and follow up. So my favorite tough performance review was when I was having one with an employee that reported to me, and she would always get defensive when you gave her feedback. And she did the same in the performance review. And I had to tell her that she was getting defensive about being told she got defensive, which was kind of comical. All right, the closing might be something like, I really appreciate the discussion. You've made great progress, and I'm confident in the goals that we've set. Let's touch base next month to see how things are going. Do you have any closing questions or concerns that we need to address? Few more tips. Give the other person your full attention. Don't be on your phone. Don't be looking away. Don't jump on your email while you're having the meeting. Try not to reschedule. I already spoke about that because it makes people feel like they're not important. No surprises. So there shouldn't be anything that they hear in the performance review that is a surprise. You should have talked with them and given them some feedback about those things prior to the meeting. Document along the way. And what I mean by that is during the period. So if you're doing quarterly, document all along things that are going well and things that are opportunities. Otherwise, what happens is when you prepare the document, you're going to think about the most recent things. And it does help having the self-assessment component and all of that. Let them know that you care about their success and want to support them. All right, so that is it for section 3. Gives you a little bit of a template for the training. I definitely recommend, I know people hate it, but like some role plays, or if you can actually maybe sit in on a review with the manager, maybe the first one, and kind of give them feedback afterwards, that can always be helpful. Section 4, employee responsibilities. Employees should receive advanced training on the format that you're going to use because they need to know how the conversation is going to go, the process, their role as owner of their performance and development, and how to receive feedback and coaching. If including a self-assessment, you'll want to encourage employees to complete it in advance by reflecting on questions and however you have it set up. But I recommend the manager having an opportunity to review it and consider it as they add their comments. Section 5, follow-up and accountability. The most common reason performance conversations fail is a lack of follow-up. When managers check in regularly, employees are going to feel valued and supported. Small issues are caught before they grow into something big. Goals stay visible and actionable. Accountability becomes natural because they know that you're going to ask them about it, so they need to get it done. And you're not adding more meetings, you're replacing surprise conversations and problems with continuous dialogue. So there's 3 different touch points that you can use to check in. It might be a weekly or biweekly quick check-in. Keep these informal and conversational, asking things like, how's your progress on your goals? What's going well this week? What's getting in your way? You've got your monthly progress touch points. So this might be more like a one-on-one, a slightly deeper discussion to review progress on goals, development activities, support or resources needed. And you might want to find a way to kind of keep notes in a shared document. And then you've got your quarterly or semi-annually, more structured conversations. And at this stage, the discussions should feel natural because you've been talking all along. Accountability loop. Here's how to keep it tight. Agree on clear next steps during every conversation. Document them immediately. Don't rely on memory. Follow up proactively. Celebrate small wins along the way. When the employee knows that you're going to follow up, they stay more engaged and motivated and are more likely to do the thing or things. Tracking tools, you don't need any kind of fancy software. A simple system works fine. Might be Google Sheets or Docs, Trello or Asana, I know are used by some folks. One-on-one agendas, maybe just keeping running notes and action items, and calendar reminders, scheduling follow-ups right after the meeting. You want to celebrate and recognize progress, which we don't take time to kind of celebrate those small wins along the way. So when you see effort or improvement, say thank you right away, share wins publicly when appropriate, and highlight progress in team meetings. All right, so that is what I have for you. Contact me for assistance if you would like to kind of take the next step and have a performance conversations process builder session. What that would be is a 60-minute session where we meet one on one, make a plan for your organization, and then we would set up kind of touch points on how I can help you. And that would probably be done through email and whatnot. Thanks so much for your interest and participation, and feel free to reach out if I can help in any way. Thank you.